Good evening. Today is Monday, September 19th, 2022. Regular session of the Board of the School Trustees of the School City of East Chicago. The time is now 6:01 p.m. And the place is the School City of East Chicago Administration Building, 1401 East 144th Street, East Chicago, Indiana, 46312. And this meeting is also being streamed live at www.scec.k12.in.us. This is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Ms. Bigum, roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Present.
Trustee Gomez.
Present.
Trustee Williams.
Present.
Trustee Smith.
Present.
Chairman Hernandez Orange.
Present. Can we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on the agenda will be the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Madam President, I move for approval.
Trustee Gomez makes a motion for approval.
Second.
Trustee Smith seconds the motion, and I did not ask the audience if they are okay with the agenda items. I do apologize. Are there any comments? With none, we have a first and a second. Are there any questions? Ms. Bigum?
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Gomez.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez Orange.
Yes, the next item on our agenda is a presentation. Dr. Abrego?
Yes, thank you, Governing Board President. We have two presentations, short presentations. One will be with the superintendent, and our first one will be with Ms. Christina Gutierrez, our Director of Elementary Education, and she will start us off.
Good evening, board and community. Before we dig into our district data, I want to take the opportunity to go over our academic briefing, just so we know the most current data. As you know, we moved to NWEA. It stands for our Northwest Educational Assessment, so that is our new testing system, and this is the beginning of the year, the BOY data for School City. Just a couple pointers or background information on NWA. This is our district benchmarking assessment. Our main purpose is to make gains on our achievement and also for growth monitoring. The tests are adaptive, meaning that each skill is given a difficulty tasks, and depending on where the student scores, that then lands them in a normative range. This assessment is given for students in K through 10th. And it also gives us instructional guidance for tasks needed for students per RIT score. The NWA partners with us, and they give us something titled a learning continuum that allows us to make instructional decisions for students in grouping and for teachers. We also use NWA for goal setting and growth monitoring. One part to NWA is it does take into account our reading scores. So here we have our reading scores for K through 10. What you see here is our red, so it's a little bit different. We have 5 categories. We have red that's considered low, and then we have an orange category that's considered low average. We have our yellow, that's our average, and then we have a high average of green, and then a high of blue. So that's basically where we are with reading. If you look over here, you can kind of see that our trend for our reading is doing well. We have 20%. I know that we started last year with 50% of our kids being below reading, but you can see now with the threshold of 50, we are having kids move bands. So just to start the grade level off, we are working with 20% of our students in our classes right now that are proficient with grade skills in reading. Moving to math, we're not as fortunate to have that gained yet. We do have a little bit of instructional strategies that we need to implement for our math and our curriculum. You can see that right now the closest to our 80th percentile would be our 9th and 10th graders. So this just gives you an overall picture of what the teachers are working with in the classrooms. This also lets us know what supports we need to put in place as far as para placement and any other supports we need for the teachers. So this is kind of where we are with our math data. We understand that data is a part of our journey, so we really try to make it important for our teachers to make sure that they're monitoring, but also know that we do have to measure things to improve our programs, to improve curriculum. So this is going to be the test that we use throughout the year, once again, our middle of the year and then our end of year. Any questions on our NWA initiative?
One, if you could place these, Ms. Bigum, these notes on our board doc, so when we end up doing middle of the year and end of the year, we could go back.
Absolutely.
And thank you.
And now I'm going to move over to Dr. Abrego, who I just did the academic part. We're going to move to our district data.
The slides for me, okay. Thank you, Christina. I'm going to give you a little bit of information on what's going on in our district, but first I want to thank the governing board for allowing us to give you this information and also sharing it with our district via YouTube. So today's presentation will focus on 4 topics. The first one is going to be past and current enrollment. The second one is going to be on district attendance. Third is on Beyond Textbooks partnership, and the fourth one is going to be on community partners. The next slide you see is data that's shared about our enrollment throughout the district. If you look at this data, you can see that in 2013, we had 5,260 students. 10 years later, 2023, we have 3,176 students. And if you look at those numbers, 5,260 minus 3,176, that means that in 10 years, we have lost 2,084 students. So again, another trend that we see is every year we're losing approximately 100 students. And if you're looking at the data, so you may be looking at that last number district, and it doesn't quite add up because we've lost some schools, so we just pulled those numbers out of there, okay? And board members, you do have the PowerPoint presentation in front of you, so if you want to write down any questions later on after this presentation or somewhere down the line, we will have a comprehensive report for you. Our next slide is attendance by our students and our teachers. So we want to see how we're doing in the district. And the last time we spoke, I told you that we are shooting for 95% attendance rate for our students and a 98% for our staff. So how is it looking so far? You can see that we've looked at the data and disaggregated it by schools. And the number 1 school on student attendance is Block Middle School. They had a 95.1. Now this was not for the entire month. I believe this was about 16 days, but again, we want to track everything that's going on in our district. And you can see how all the schools are doing. And then our teachers at Washington did have a 97.7 attendance rate. So again, we want to commend them on that. They're doing a very nice job. So again, these are just things to food for thought, and we'll get into deeper detail later on when we do a report for you. Our third slide is attendance rate by grade level. So you saw our total attendance rate, but how are students doing? And you see that the 7th graders at Block Middle School are leading the way. They did hit a 95.62 attendance rate, so that's very good. That's what we're striving for. And right behind them were the 8th graders at 94.62%, so it can be done in our district. And then even going a little bit further, you see who was rated number 3. That was our kindergarten students. They had a 94.7, followed by our 2nd graders at 94%. So again, we're trying to track all this information just to see what we can do to improve our schools. The next slide has to do with Beyond Textbooks, and I think people hear us talk about Beyond Textbooks, they don't know what it is. So real quickly, as a superintendent, I've been working with districts in Arizona for the past 10 years, and my area of expertise, or what I try to do, is help districts improve. And we've been doing this in other districts. We've elevated districts from an F to a A or B in a 2 or 3 year span. So how is this being accomplished? It's being done through a partnership with Vail Unified School District. And Vail Unified School District is in Arizona, And who are they? A little bit about Vale Unified School District. They have 20 schools. Every single one of their schools is rated an A school. In their schools, 90% of the students are on track and they pass the state test. And I'm happy to say that East Chicago, Indiana, will be the first district in Indiana to partner with Beyond Textbooks or Vale Unified School District. Also, they're going to be here this Wednesday from 8 to 11 in the boardroom doing a presentation for our district leaders. So I want to make sure that you know all governing board members are invited. We hope that you will attend. We've also invited some community leaders because I want them to know what it's all about. And how does Vale help us? Well, number one is they are going to give training to our principals, our directors, and our teachers. They're going to help us as far as prioritizing the standards. Standards are really skills that we teach at each grade level. They're going to help us with that. And they're also going to help us with their assessments. They have assessments for their students that they're going to be sharing with us, and we're going to be using them. And the assessments tell us if our students are learning the standards. And in East Chicago, what we're going to be doing this year is the teachers will teach a standard during their regular classroom period. If a student does not master or learn the standard, we're going to reteach that standard during the school day. And then the third step is there's some students that may need help after school. So this is where the next slide comes in. We want community partners. And the community partners, we believe that in order to improve our schools, it's just not our educators, but we need the community and our parents. So some of our partners that we already have in place are the Top 20 Literacy. I know that those of you are familiar with the school systems of East Chicago. The Top 20 were dancers, but now they've expanded and they're going to help mentor our young students. We also have Ms. Linda Randolph, who is in the audience, and she's helping us by assisting our principals and our other leaders. She has many years of expertise, and we welcome her support. In East Chicago, we also have a Jump Start program. We did that this summer, but it's going to be ongoing now. With this Beyond Textbooks, we're going to have a lot of tutoring after school, and again, we want our partners to help us. We have also reached out to the Indiana Department of Education, and we're partnering with them to help us improve our schools in various areas. We've also partnered with the East Chicago Library, and you know, many of our students go there after school. So again, we've invited them, and we want them to help learn about the Beyond Textbook curriculum framework so they could support us with their after-school programs. And we also have committees in our schools, and they provide tutoring to all our schools throughout the district, so we want to welcome them. And also we have a partnership with the National Alliance of Black School Educators, and they help our students transition from life after high school, which could be from high school to college or high school to careers. And again, the last slide is something that we know we always have East Chicago pride. And we want to promise our parents that we want to provide the best education for their children, their students, excellence in education with no excuses. So again, board members, if you write any questions down on your PowerPoint presentation, we're going to do a comprehensive presentation for you and report, and we'll answer any questions you may have on your PowerPoint presentations if you just give them to Diane at the end, and we'll work on those for you, okay?
Dr. Brago, I have one before, and it's simple, I'm sure you know this because we just had the ADM. Are these actual numbers? Is that 3176 the actual number
Yeah.
for the ADM count, like
The actual
from September?
numbers, are you talking about on slide enrollment?
Enrollment data, yeah. And I know, I know we asked what the enrollment data was previously, we haven't received it yet, so since
Yes.
it's here, I just want to make sure, is
The
this?
enrollment data
ADM
under
for
2023 are as of last Friday,
The ADM day, yeah.
the
For
ADM.
ADM days, so that's
Yes.
September, not what we don't know for.
Yes.
Okay.
Good, thank you. And thank you, Ms. Christina. I'm
I got
sorry.
one question as well, Dr. Brago. Beyond Textbook, you said the district meeting with Vale School District is Wednesday, September 21st, at what time?
From 8 to 11, they're going to be here, so any board member that wants to come, you're more than welcome. We've also invited community members that are going to be partnering with us so they could understand, because our goal is when we help our children after school, we want everything to be consistent. What the teachers taught in their classroom, again, all our partners, we want them to follow up with that after school.
Okay, so you said it starts at 8 and lasts until 11 a.m.
Yes.
Okay.
And just,
Here.
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, is it here?
It's right here in the boardroom, yes.
And just for future reference, I know when we talked about the goals, and I see how you have your attendance and district goals, and when we meet,
Yes.
I'm just asking that when you have your goal, we have to show the growth, and I know you have a growth number and what time frame.
Yes.
I just like to see the time frame of what your goal is, or how long we're measuring for that goal, because if we don't have a time frame, then we really don't know exactly if we're growing or not. So if you could just make sure when you give us that presentation,
Yes.
to give us all that together.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then I think I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Simmons because she has a little bit on the budget.
So I am going to open the floor for public comment on the second part of the budget, which is the bus replacement plan and the capital project. So our first one, we're going to do the bus replacement plan. This is what we're proposing for the next 5 years of replacing buses. They could be full-size 44 passenger buses. They could be our smaller buses. Most of them will be propane buses. And that's because we can get a grant to cover a portion of the cost. And then also, we might be buying some more mini buses because we have a lot of McKinney-Vento kids that we're transporting from city to city. Open the floor for public comment, questions on the bus replacement plan? Okay, I'm gonna move over to the capital project plan. This is considered a semi-wish list, but this is what we're pushing for to get completed within the district. As y'all know, a lot of this one is talking about the HVAC system. And I am using the capital project money to cover things that our bond nor our ESSER fund would be. So we have the intercom system already being installed at Washington and Block. Then we're going to do an intercom system in all the rest of the schools other than the high school. The high school is the most upgraded. So these are some things that we have on the list for the capital projects. And this is just estimate cost of how much everything is going to be. Opening floor for any comments or questions?
Is that just from the audience or is from us as well?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes. I'm sorry, I was looking back this way. My fault. Yes.
These findings and replacements that's taking places in these schools, these are some of the same findings that we seen in the school improvement with,
Smith and Associates?
yes,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
So those capital projects, or those projects have started to take place?
Some of them have, like, I'm looking at right now, central doors, we just completed that. So we completed, Tri-Electric went through and recalibrated all of the central doors so that all of them lock when closing. Yeah.
How about, I know season is about to change, and this might be a Dr. Abrego question. I would like to see, I know we approved that maybe about 2-3 months ago. I would really like to see, maybe we can have an executive session or some, to give us an update on what have taken place, especially when it comes to the HVAC system. We had a huge problem with the turnover from
So,
winter to summer. Now it's
Right.
been a change back from summer to winter.
right,
I can see on Thursday that our temperature is all the way down to 60 degrees. So we're going to start to get parents or students to complain about how cold it is because of the air conditioning system. I would just like to have some kind of update in regards to what's taking place from Smith and Associates on how far we have gotten with the spending of that ESSER money with those capital improvement. I know HVAC was a problem in each school building. And I do see that there's some HVAC systems that's taking place in these, but I just want to see about the beginning of the process and how soon will we be done with some of them? Is that fair, Dr. Bergo?
Sure, and I'll take that, Mr. Williams. When I did our short presentation today, I said, board members, all you have to do is let us know what type of reports you want, what type of information, and we will prepare it for you. I think already are going to set up an executive session, and then at that time, we'll have the reports ready for you, and we can elaborate on items that you need more information on.
Would you bring Smith in? Would you bring them in? I know they're in the district, right?
Smith and Associates?
Yes.
Yes, they are. They've been in the district now for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So this will definitely be a work session in order to discuss this plan, as well as, I think, maybe the update of, and correct me if I'm wrong, of the manager who should be managing this. That might be an executive session because it's a personnel item, but this is a work session so that the public could also know. But I think, it's needed, as we need to know exactly where these funds are going and how they're being used, so. But that's a good point, Trustee Williams.
Any more questions? Hey, how you doing? Yep, Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It's actually updating all of the signs in the district to digital signs, so they can run them by computer. Either Jeremy, or Mr. George can run them by computer. And then we'll have someone designated in the schools that they can do the updates also. So yes, it does include all of the signs in the district to go to digital signs.
Ms. Simmons, I know you closed the bus one.
Yes.
I didn't know if I was going to ask questions in the resolution. But I know when I talked to Dr. Brago, one of the things that you brought up that I thought was very important was, and I wanted the board members to hear because I know we're having a lack of individuals signing up to do after school. So, and I want to make this extremely clear so that, coaches could be aware. When we're possibly going to get 15 passenger vans or 12 Sprinter vans, since coaches can't drive the 15 passenger vans anymore, so that we can make sure that we have after-school programs or sports happen, correct?
We are looking within that dollar amount to get some activity vans for our district. Yes.
I know one of my other questions, Dr. Brago, was with the lack of bus drivers, does it make sense to continue to get that many propane, like we're anticipating all these propane buses, but are we foreseeing the issue, with the bus drivers, and do we really need all that just out of?
So within this total, the 135,000 for that year can be used for 15 passenger vans, can be used for Sprinters, and it could be used for our propane buses. So it's an option of what we can break that down within that year. So just in 2023, you're looking to replace 3 buses. So one thing we have to do by state code is these older buses, we have to get them off the streets. So that is the reason why those are being retired. Now, if those are 44 passenger buses and we need those 44 passenger buses, we will. If we need to go down to smaller buses for the district, we can do it that way too. But I have to make sure that I have a bus that's going to replace, just in case, to pick up 44 kids. So we have to analyze what we can do with those 3 buses. But these 3 buses, yes, we do need to bring them off of the streets because of their age.
Thank you for explaining that. And my last thing is, and I know I said this last year, I probably said, no, last year.
I will make sure that the buses that we get have air.
Thank you very much.
More than welcome.
Madam President.
All air and not just in the front. So I just want to explain, because I was on those buses. They're literally just in the front for the bus driver, not for the entire, we have to be able to make sure our kids also need the air. It's funny, but it's not, because I've literally have been on those buses and there's no air. And we have most of our fleet that has that. So it's unfortunate. Just thank you. Go ahead, Trustee Williams.
You mentioned about 15 passenger and 12 passenger vans. What's the criteria? I thought as long as you have a chauffeur's license, you are able to drive a 15-passenger or less?
So trustee Williams, I am not for sure of the criteria of driving those vans by state. I can say by a regular person, but not by state. So that would be a Susie, our Director of Transportation question. I do believe Attorney Harris has an answer to that.
I do. I think there's another question out there too, but real quick, I think your assumption is right. But the more important thing is, once you open it up to these other people who don't have to have any type of specialized license, the background check becomes that much more important. And that's really what I wanted to chime in on, is the background check, since they're going to be in direct contact with children. I think you have a
9 times out
question.
of 10, that would be coaches that are already background checked and already employed by School City of East Chicago as well.
Unless the coach's plan is to get a volunteer parent to help out and drive the van, those are things you have to think about, right?
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, on the activities, okay, what they did with the city buses, instead of them being yellow, they changed them to white, red stripe on mini buses. They took out, I think, 2 seats so that we have 3 well, I guess it's activity drivers or whatever the thing is that drive the out-of-district students. So we do have bus aides that drive students from out of the district. They are eligible to drive those buses, plus the coaches. Like the tennis team, since they have a small number of tennis players, the tennis coach drives them. Okay, not one of our regular bus drivers. We have had, on our late runs, if the regular drivers that have the CDL license, those 3 are eligible through our director, that she'll ask them if they want to do our late runs. Because regular driver refuse, they say, no, I'm not, they are asked first if they want to do our late runs. So by us having those 3 other drivers, they're eligible to help with the late runs.
Any more questions over the capital project or the bus replacement project?
No, I think we're good. Thank you, Ms. Simmons. The next item on the agenda will be the consent agenda. Is there a motion for consent agenda?
Madam President, move for approval of the consent agenda.
Wait, I'm sorry, and I did not ask first to the audience. I forget, I'm sorry. Are there any questions in regards to the consent agenda or any comments from the audience? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Rodriguez seconds the motion. Are there any questions? I do have this. So on last meeting on September 6th and on Thursday on September 15th, with the superintendent, I expressed my concern of hiring individuals that do not have certifications or on the IDOE site. While I understand that it takes 4 weeks for some items, I did ask for just so our board members could know that we could be let known that those individuals are actually working on their EP for that 4-week mark, so we can know what we're voting for. And we haven't received any of that. So I did do my due diligence and look back up, and I do see that some of the individuals that are on the personnel docket do not have any type of certification. And that's number 3052. I actually think that's the wrong name. And item 3053, 3093, and the individual on 3024, who there was the corrections, that individual still doesn't have anything shown. again, I feel like if we do our due diligence and look at all this, then one, we could avoid some of the issues of correcting items on the personnel, because we would know who they actually are. And while I know it's important to have staff, and that's more so for the safety of our students, I also cannot just simply vote for individuals who, at this point, we don't know if they have any type of certification. That's not fair to the students, it's not fair to the parents, because we could be putting anyone off the street on there who do not know anything about education. And unfortunately, we don't know that because we don't have that information. And I know what we have asked for multiple times is to have a discussion prior to having these votes. I asked that a couple times, and I'm still waiting to have those discussions before this, because I'm at the point where I don't know how many EPs we have. If we have more than what we have certified teachers, again, it's not fair to our kids. So with that being said, I cannot vote for this until we understand who is in our classrooms. And I hope, I'm stressing this again, it has nothing to do with, everything to do with knowing who's in our class for our kids. And that's the bottom line. Are there any other questions?
So you're saying that that's just for the certified people? Is that the part that you're talking about?
What do you mean?
We're not voting, we're going to discuss that, make sure that that's correct?
I'm personally not voting for the consent agenda. I'm voting no for it, but the personnel, I'm for nothing on the consent agenda. But what I'm saying is on the personnel report, you have items that don't have anything for some individuals. Like, one person's a sub, the other one doesn't have any information. Like, I pointed out item 2969 last week, and it was obviously the wrong name, so it's just, and I'm glad we're getting an HR director, so maybe some of this could be corrected. But until we do, I can't, my name is not going to go along with this.
Okay, and thank you very much for those concerns, but once again, I want to let all the board members know, we do have a process, and the process that we're using is, on the day of the board meeting, the superintendent or I will call every single board member. I ask you if you have any concerns. I told you that I can answer any questions as long as I have my HR consultant there, my director of elementary education. So if we follow that same protocol, we can get you all the answers before you come in here and vote. However, again, if we're asking all these questions at the last minute, it's very difficult to do that. But I do want to let the board members know I gave you all the phone call, any concerns you had, I answered over the phone and also sent you an email. So if you could help me with that process, I think we'll expedite our meetings.
Dr. Berger, I'm going to do you one better. Again, I stated on September 6th and on Thursday, September 15th, that I need to know if there is people who have certified or non-certified. We expressed that in our agenda meeting. I think I told you that a couple times. You said we'll do an executive session to discuss the plan, because I had a bunch of questions. I actually put it in an email also, I think it was early this morning, about certifications and, what my concern was and why I wanted to know. So I did my due diligence. I followed the process I told you on the 6th as well as the 15th, so nothing changes. Every meeting should be the same thing. If there's somebody who is non-certified, or if there's nothing on the IDOE, my assumption is that we're going to get that information. Trustees, they are signed up for the EP, and they'll receive it in 4 weeks. That's what we discussed actually on Thursday at the agenda meeting. That's what I wanted to see.
Well, maybe, Ms. Gutierrez, can you shed a little bit of light on this for us, please?
Madam President, before you start, I see, in this personnel report, on this personnel report, it states, the title states type. And all these people have certified next to them. So as a board member, I'm under the assumption that the certification means that they are capable and ready. And then when it says a successful candidate, new hire, we're under the impression that all those things have been checked through either HR, through the superintendent, or whoever is doing these appointings or hiring. So you're stating to us that with these doc numbers that you receive, these people are not in the IDOE?
No, they're not. And it might be, again, like you see in the bottom portion,
I'm glad you do your due diligence to check. I am under the assumption, and I might be bad for that or be wrong for that. I am under the assumption that we are receiving the proper information in order for us to vote the right way. I do see that 2 of these are just name change, could be typos, could be whatever. I even noticed that the second name, 3052, if that's the person I think it is, that's going to be
Wrong name.
a name change
Typo,
as
yeah.
well, because I don't think that that's the right name.
I agree.
Okay, I will fill you in on what I can tell you and what I do know about the process. In order to be an emergency permit teacher, you have to show evidence of your credentials, meaning before you can even go through the process of applying for the emergency permit, you have to provide your bachelor's, you have to provide your transcripts with your degree declared on your transcripts. So in the hiring process, we don't have an HR director, but part of the process is to first get a background checked and get cleared. Once your background check is cleared and you're being looked at for a possible candidate, we then make sure that you have your bachelor's and have you turn in all that credentialing into the HR department to make sure you're even applicable for an emergency permit. Because the process takes 4 to 6 weeks, and right now in Indiana, it's even longer because a lot of our schools are running off of emergency permits. It won't show up in the license lookup until it is finalized that they receive it. So these people are in the process, and what happens is our HR coordinator will go in and she could see them in Elvis, that they're in the process. It'll say emergency permit in process. Now, when it gets done, she'll accept it and she'll claim it, and then that's when they put School City of East Chicago, and it'll show up on the license lookup as an emergency permit with where they are assigned to. So speaking with just one that I know, you mentioned 2969. I was a part of that process, so I know she does have her bachelor's. She was currently employed as a para, but she did provide the credentials. For, I think you said 3024, that was a name error that was corrected, so this is a different person. I think last time they put a teacher that was already employed by us, so that was a name change. I believe the one you mentioned, 3052 for McKinley, she is actually in a TAP program, and so she turned in some paperwork that mentions her programming, or it might have been another one for McKinley. Oh, that was Jessica Peter, right? I'm sorry, that's a different person. But that's kind of the process where we are. So a lot of the people in question, I guess what we probably need to do for the board is that when they get placed on here, somewhere in here, put EP process pending. That way you know that we've collected the credentials, which we do have already, and we put them in a file because we don't want to put them on the memo if they don't have a bachelor's. And that's kind of the way EP works, is as long as you have a bachelor's in anything, we can place you with the most appropriate assignment.
Now, what I also did ask Dr. Brego, so while I understand that process, the process in regards to those who don't have a degree in anything and who are actually considered subs or aides.
Subs or A's as teachers?
Right. So they don't have a license, they're not, let's say they don't have a degree, but we're hiring them to be teachers.
I don't know of any incidences where that happens. I do know that of one case where we've hired someone as a para and she's covering a class, but I don't know that we hired them to be a teacher.
Madam President? Matter of fact, I spoke to Dr. Abrego with regards to the para, and I did ask if that para did have a degree, and basically he stated she did have a degree. So I understand that you guys are doing your due diligence, but I understand also too that, teachers are hard to come by. And you're going to make those attempts where if we can actually bring somebody from within our district to a teacher status and give them that extra push, why not do it?
And just to go back to the para situation, we did make on our agenda with the principals that this is not a permanent solution, that there still needs to be active searches for licensed teachers. That's our priority, is get licensed teachers
And I
in
think
the
that's what we
district.
needed to hear.
Yes.
Because we
That's
want,
okay.
we want the best
Absolutely.
educator for our students so they can receive the best. I understand promoting from within, but if they don't have the capability to grow our kids or our students, then we're not putting them in the best situation possible.
But it's all about opportunity. We have to give them that opportunity to
Yes,
prove to us.
I agree, I agree.
And to go back to the opportunity and providing the best for our students, this year is the first year that we've moved to bi-monthly support for our EPs and our new teachers. And we've also opened it up for teachers possibly with news improvement or just who want more support for those more frequent check-ins, because teaching is a very hard profession. And we understand that just because you have a bachelor's does not say you are a licensed teacher. So we want to make sure that the things that we know you need to have in your toolkit to be successful in the classrooms, that we're providing. And so every other Wednesday, we meet here at the board meeting, and we try to give the teachers the training that they would have got had they have gone in the educational field.
One question, Attorney, can you make sure that having someone as a para who has, can you check on that, please? The second thing is, thank you very much for being transparent and answering the questions. I appreciate that 100%. I do have, I want you to know, because I feel like when we have this presentation, I want you to know what the things that I did ask of the superintendent. One of the, and you made mention that we're still recruiting, but I want to make sure that those individuals who, let's say they don't have their emergency permit by next year, will they be able to go back? Let's say the goal is to get certified teachers in it, right?
Correct.
So will they have a position afterwards for next year? Or actually next semester, because that's what we really want, or tomorrow, because that's our real goal.
So any type of commitment that we have with an EP person, we do encourage them to get partnered with a local college to be a part of their pathway to teaching. So it's not just a temporary situation. We really try to get them, like I said, partnered into that they can be licensed officially down the line, but we would have to be through that partnership. So year 2, we need your commitment back to us, especially for our EPs, yes.
Now, those individuals who are EPs, do they receive full benefits like a regular teacher?
That, I don't know about benefit packages.
Have we spoke to the union to make sure that they're okay with what we're doing? Because, these are teachers who are certified individuals, and I know they know that, we want people a teacher in the classroom.
Yeah.
But I think we need to, make sure that they're okay with, one, spending extra time showing other individuals how to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And 2, are they okay with the benefits and, what the time that someone who did not go to school and actually go through that? I think those are conversations, I don't know if you're having them, but I'm just wondering if you are.
Depending on buildings, what type of teamwork is happening in there, but I think that the teachers are very much aware of the teacher shortage. This, yes, is probably the first year that's kind of hit us very hard, but prior to, when I was in the building administration, I would start probably the school year with 1 or 2, EPs. Just right now, because of our crisis, it's a little bit more, but we've always kind of had that teacher shortage type of thing where our teachers do pitch in and they do understand that their colleagues may not be a licensed teacher, but they do support them and, give them, so it's not anything that they're upset about. They really want classrooms filled and to have a dedicated person to those students, opposed to different subs every day, or so they're on board for as long as we're willing to support the teachers and the EPs.
And thank you. And I know I'm looking forward to this being cleared up with HR director, because I don't want to have to continue to come back and reapprove items, because that's basically what we're doing. And if 2052 is the person we're thinking, we're going to have to come back and reapprove, so.
Okay.
Are there any other questions from the board?
Madam President,
Trustee Gomez?
just a quick question regarding the Director of Human Resources. Who does that individual report to? Superintendent?
Want me to answer?
Yeah, that's you.
Who does
No, no.
Who does that individual report to?
Director of Human Resource will report directly to the superintendent.
Do they have a dotted line to another or is it just to you?
It's just the superintendent.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Ms. Bigum?
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez Orange.
No. Item 6, new business 6.01, approval resolution 2022-05 to adopt bus replacement plan. Is there any comment from the audience?
I don't think she asked us no question.
I did. Yes. Are there any comments in regards to 6.01? Is there a motion for approval for 6.01?
Madam President, I move for approval of 6.01.
Trustee Gomez makes a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Trustee Rodriguez seconds the motion. Are there any questions? Ms. Bigum?
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez Orange.
Yes. Item 6.02, approval of resolution 2022-06 to adopt the capital projects fund plan. Is there a comment from the audience in regards to 6.02? With none being heard, is there a motion for approval?
Madam President, I move for approval of
Trustee-
6.02.
Trustee Gomez makes a motion for approval.
Second.
Trustee Williams seconds the motion. Are there any questions? Ms. Bigum?
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez Orange.
Yes. Item 6.03, approval of adoption of the school budget resolution 2022-07 for appropriations and tax rates. And I know this is an item that is currently open for discussion. So we'll just continue with opening it if there's any comments, and then after that, we'll close, and then we'll seek a motion, correct?
Yes, the public hearing on this item is still open, so if there's any comments pursuant to the public hearing, they should make them now.
Okay, so if there's any comments in regards to Resolution 2022-07 for the appropriations and tax rates, you're able to speak on that now. There was a presentation done last meeting in regards to the budget, so are there any comments? So we will close the public hearing, and now we'll, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see, I'm sorry.
Behind the,
Ms. Askey, can you go to the mic, please, so we could have you on record and we can hear you?
Yes, they should.
Princella Askew. I wasn't at the last meeting, but Ms. Simmons, is this on the agenda, for the schools?
Yes, it is under the website, up under the finance tab.
Okay,
All documents are there.
okay. Thank you.
It was also under the board docs. Also,
Because I don't get the newspaper,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
so I know you have to post it in order to let the, on the school, the newspapers. So,
We, they had, I do believe it was a pop-up to come through probably about 10 days before the last meeting, pop-up to do, to click on. And then I had him also move it to the finance session so that it is accessible to anyone since we left the hearing open. So it
Okay.
is there. We no longer, by state requirements, have to post to do the advertising in the paper.
okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
is there any more questions or comments in regards to the public hearing? Okay, now the public hearing is closed. Now with the 6.03, approval of adoption of the school budget resolution 2022-07 for appropriations and tax rates, is there a motion for approval?
Madam President, make a motion.
Second.
Trustee Rodriguez makes a motion for approval. Trustee Gomez seconds the motion. Are there any questions? Ms. Bigum?
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez Orange.
Yes. Item 6.04, approval of resolution 2022-08 to transfer amounts from the education fund to the operation fund. Ms. Simmons?
Yes, this is a resolution that is required by the state for us to do a percentage of the basic grant to transfer to the operation fund. The percentage is 15%, but the district does not take the whole 15%. So we do have to have a resolution in place to make that transfer.
Is there any comment from the audience? Is there a motion for approval of item 6.04?
President, make a motion for approval.
Trustee Smith makes the motion for approval.
Second.
Trustee Williams seconds the motion. Are there any questions? Ms. Bingham?
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez on.
Yes. Item 6.05, approval of usage of Harrison parking lot. Dr. Brago?
Yes, that was approved. Again, they sent a letter, everything was sent on time. Unfortunately, it went to Dr. McNulty, and by the time I got it, I talked to them and said that they need all the paperwork. They did have all their paperwork in order, and I believe that they understood that in the future, we have to send it to me and give us prior notice, but it did take place, and they had all the paperwork in order.
Is there a comment from the audience? Is there a motion for approval?
Madam President, make a motion to approve.
Trustee Rodriguez makes a motion for approval.
Second.
Trustee Gomez seconds the motion. Are there any questions? Ms. Bingham?
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez on.
Yes. Item 6.06, approval of bus drivers' late runs rate. Dr. Brago?
Yes, and once again, I think I sent the board members an email. We were just having a tough time getting bus drivers to help us with the late runs, with our athletics, our clubs, and soon to be a lot of tutoring. So the chief financial officer and I spoke, and she said it would be wise to get more people if we just increase their rate. So that was implemented, or we want to implement that.
Is there a comment from the audience in regards to 6.06? Mike?
Kenneth Mobley, union representative for the bus drivers and the A's, and what I'm gonna say, Ms. Simmons had heard me say it before. The activity drivers that do the out of district, they're gonna be questioning if they have to do it, why they didn't get the raise. And as bus A's, we also help with the late runs, and they're gonna be asking why we didn't get it. That's my comment.
Are there any other comments from the audience? Is there a motion for,
Madam President, I need to also put one more thing in there. Those funds will be taken out of ESSER.
It says through ESSER.
yeah,
That's-
is there a motion for approval of this item?
Madam President, I move for approval.
Trustee Gomez makes a motion for approval. Trustee Smith seconds the motion. Are there any questions?
Madam President?
Rodriguez, sorry.
Just got a quick question for our CFO. Now, this increased rate, is this only for special, you said it was for special activities?
So what we're having a problem with is that a lot of our clubs and a lot of our sports activities in the afternoons, our bus drivers don't want to take the afternoons because they are lower paid than what they're making during the day. So it is basically for the afternoon runs, for the field trips and all that.
So would this also include all drivers that works in our district?
Yes, that is all drivers.
So this special activity increase is specifically for for pretty much all drivers as well as,
Yes, it is.
okay.
Yes, it is.
I think the gentleman mentioned when the director asked the bus drivers if they would like to accept this, a special activity, there's an opportunity for a small incentive if they do so. So I understand now. Thanks.
So I would like to make one more comment. And Mr. Mosby, as he said, he has talked to me about this. And there is one thing that you did bring up that we did not look at and we will look at. And that is that the understanding that bus aides do go out with the drivers in the afternoons.
Madam President.
Trustee Williams.
Ms. Simmons, the rate of 2645 that's there, how much of a raise is that from what they were getting? Do we know that offhand?
So in the ESSA grant, originally there was placed additional $5 stipend for our bus drivers. With the summer months coming up, we decided to pay them the higher amount up under the summer school. So the $5 stipend was to accommodate our raise, our rate. So that's the reason why we are moving forward to add that $5 additional in there.
Are there any other questions?
We'll be looking at what the comment, I'm sorry. So we will be looking at the comment about the bus aides eventually?
I will have that conversation with Ms. Castro, which is the federal director, tomorrow morning.
Any other questions? Ms. Simmons, and just came, because he just reminded me, Mr. Mobley, so I know last year we ended up approving a rate for, outside of bus drivers. So for instance, like if our tennis coach wanted to, drive the, basketball team, we ended up approving, I think it was like 15 something for that to happen. Is that not correct? We've had, because I know we've done that, where coaches from a different team take the same rate as, I forgot what, for the white buses. We approved a special, so are we saying that they're going to get this rate also?
No, we're saying that this is geared towards our bus drivers, meaning our certified CDL bus drivers. That's just the ones that
CDL.
yes, that's the ones that we very much hard to get them to take over these special trips in the evening hours. And the rate that you're referring to, yes, that was for any coach, or actually, it was actually for anybody that
Anybody,
wanted
yeah.
to volunteer
Yeah.
to take our kids. But I think with this rate, that I think I can pull a great amount of bus drivers to help out in the afternoon.
Now, while I understand we'll have some more, but my question is that it's not always about how much money you're making, it's about the peace of mind. And I do know that, us being former, working in the office, we always had the issue of children, late bus runs, there's not really a coach there anymore, so they're acting up. We had to check the cameras almost every other day because something was happening. And sometimes it's not about the money, it's more so the peace of mind. So with that being said, I'm hoping we come up with another plan because just in case that amount does not pull enough people.
So that will be addressed probably in the next principals meeting with Mr. Cheveria also on hand to give a little bit more insight on how we can improve that. And because that is another issue with the bus drivers, is that the activities that goes on the bus and the late runs. So that will be brought up in the next principals meeting and with Mr. Cheveria to address it.
And not so much as a punishment for anyone, but just
No,
find
not
a
at
way
all.
to, entice people to take students home. We don't
Yes.
want to not let them partake in after-school activities.
Yes, so that's the reason why we're going to work with the actual principals, the deans, and security to make sure that we can have our bus drivers secured also.
And
Thanks.
it starts
Thank
with
you.
our coaches.
Yeah. Yeah, he's right. Hold coaches accountable.
Yes.
Are there any other questions? Ms. Bigum?
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez Orange.
Yes. Item 7, superintendent's remarks.
Good. Just one quick remark. I want to encourage all board members to help us welcome Bayeux Unified School District to East Chicago this Wednesday here. So please try to attend. That'll take place here in this room from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock. And we want you to learn more about the Beyond Textbook curriculum framework. Thank you.
Madam President,
Trustee Williams.
Mrs. Bigham, is it possible you can send us an email for an invite for that event? Please, just as a reminder. Thank you.
Are there any trustee remarks? Any trustee remarks? I do have a trustee remark. Now, I asked you guys, don't be kind of chiming in afterwards. I know how we go. I know. So I just want to say to some who did not know, this past Friday was homecoming at Central High School, and while the outcome of the game was not what we wanted, the game was still a success overall for homecoming. Congratulations to the court as well as the homecoming king and homecoming queen. A thank you to Diana Darden, the alumni group, D'Angelo Coles, as well as, hold on, there's a list because the alumni ended up giving a 360, that's it called? 360 photo booth to our students. They did not have a homecoming dance, but they danced all night at the homecoming game. I saw them, we had to tell them to stop. So the individuals who participated in purchasing the item, Miss Eldridge, Charlotte Jefferson, Tiffany Ballard, Kenesha Williams, Shay Prince, Miss LaCoy, Mosley, Erica Robinson Watkins, Megan Sanders, Diana Darden, and myself. And D'Angelo Coles DJ'd. He offered his services for our students, and that was a great event for them. And I did see on our Facebook page that we had some individuals donate food to our football team, and you know, some people like to do things in quiet, and so I want to be able to make sure to give them some highlight, as well as our police officers, Judah Parks and Justin Orange. They bought food for our team for 2 days in a row, or 2 games back to back. And I wanted to recognize them. A special shout out to our principal at the high school, Mr. A. Brown. A. Brown has not only been the principal there, but he's the acting athletic director. And knowing from being an athletic director standpoint, some athletic directors can't even do that job. So to be able to do a principal job and the athletic director job, I give him extreme kudos for what he's been doing this past couple months. He is literally there 6 o'clock, 7, and he will not leave until the last person leaves at the game. If you ask anyone, if Principal Brown is there, he's there and he's always working. You found him this Friday collecting money at the gate. Then he ended up coming to the concession stand and collecting money there, as well as working with his wife and others to make sure that we had a successful homecoming game. And finally, it was great to see some administrators there at the homecoming game. To see them actually stay and help, that's even better. The kids need the support. They don't always have it, but when you have some administrators actually stay, and even for the entire game, that's a big kudos to them. So I thank you all from the bottom of my heart, because I know how important it is to these kids to have games, and if we're not all there, then it's not going to happen. So a successful homecoming, and thank you to those who help and stay. And next, we will have public forum.
No one.
The next item will be the next date and time of our meeting, which would be on Monday, October 3rd, 2022, and that will be at 6 p.m. here. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Madam President, make a motion to adjourn.
Trustee Rodriguez makes a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Trustee Smith seconds the motion. Ms. Bigum?
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith? Chairman Hernandez Orange?
Yes.